So these are the instructions for this 331 stoichiometry slides review. So if you open that up, click on the title, it will open to a larger window. And then you have a directions page here. So some of the answers you'll be typing. Some of the answers are movable objects you'll be dragging to different places. I'll skip that. Let me do an example here. So you have the problem. It's right here. How many grams of Al2O3 are needed to produce 34.5 grams of O2? So the first thing you want to do is, down here at the very bottom, you'll see steps. So it's just drag given and unknown dots onto the map. So that's these right here, these dots. So given, my starting is the number, 34.5 grams of O2. So my given is in grams. Okay, so I'm going to put that here on the map. This is where I'm starting. You put it wherever you want over here, but it needs to be on grams. Now, my unknown is what did they ask me for? So they asked me how many grams of Al2O3 are needed. So my unknown is going to be over here, grams. Now, also on this chart is volume, which we will not do, and particles, which we won't do as part of this assignment, although you have done that in the past. So then what you need to do is count the arrows. So you start where your given is, and that's one arrow taking you to moles. And then once you're in moles of given, you go to moles of unknown. So there's arrow number 2. And then you go from moles of unknown into the molar mass, and so that's arrow number 3. So to get from where I start to where I want to go, I've got 1, 2, 3 arrows. That tells you the number of steps, so that's going to go here in this part. And so you need to insert a text box here, and so it's going to be 3 number of steps. Okay, so then the next part is type givens and unknown units. So step 2, type given and unknown units. Remember the directions are at the way bottom down here. So given is 34.5 grams of O2. And so I'm going to subscript this. I just go to format, text, subscript. And then unknown is the thing that they asked you for. So they asked me for how many grams of Al2O3. So my unknown is grams Al2O3. And again, you go to format, text, and then subscript for that. Same thing here. All right. Next step, enter the number of steps. Oh, we already did that. 1, 2, or 3. So it just depends on how many arrows are on your path. And then step 4, drag the correct conversion factors needed for each step and then calculate. So we're going to start here. This is our starting amount already. And then what's going to go here in this spot, you're going to grab from over here. So the grams of O2 is going to go on the bottom. And so if you go to a periodic table, O is 16 times 2 is 32. So the should be 32 grams on the bottom. So this is the one I want right here. And I'm going to put that right here. All right, so 1 mole on top, 32 grams of O2 on the bottom. And then in the middle here, it says molar ratio. And I use these over here for molar ratios. So this is moles of O2, even though it doesn't say that. This is moles of O2 on the top. And so moles of O2 is going to go on the bottom. And then I look at the equation for that. And so that's going to be 3 moles of O2 here in the middle. So that's going to go on the bottom. And then the top is going to be what the compound I wanted to convert into, which is Al2O3. And there's a 2 in front of that. So it's going to be 2 moles of Al2O3. This one is going to go here. And then the top unit, moles Al2O3, goes on the bottom. And then on the top is going to be grams of Al2O3. And so if you go to your periodic table and you get a calculator, Al is 26.9 98, and then times 2, and then add that to O3, which is 16 times 3. 101.96. So the 101.96 should be on the top. So I come over here to my conversion factors and I grab this one because it's the 101.96 with it on the top. And this is going to go right here. That's just split box. This is going to go right here. Alright, so now that everything is set up how it's supposed to be, then I am going to solve for my answer. So you start by writing what you have, which is the 345 grams of O2, clear, 34.5 grams of O2, and then the first division bar is multiply by 1 on the top and divide by 32 on the bottom. So multiply by 1 gives me the same thing, and then divide by 32. Alright, just leave that there. Then the next division bar is times 2 on the top, and then divide by 3. So times 2, divide by 3. Leave that there. Then I multiply by 101.96 on the top and divide by 1. Alright, and then that is your answer, 73.28. So just round the two numbers after the decimal, 3.28, and then include units, so that'll be grams of Al2O3, which is what they asked me for. If you don't want to subscript them, like I'm not going to take off points for that, that's not that big of a deal. It does take a little bit of extra time if you want to. It is there, you go to Format, Text, and then click the subscript. There's also a shortcut for it to get to subscript. You do highlight the number and then you use Control plus comma, but sometimes it doesn't work for me. So anyway, that is what you do for this assignment. And remember, your directions are here on the bottom. Some of the later problems, I'll go to the last problem, they don't have the conversion factors already built. You need to like pick them up and drag them and then build them yourself. So like here for grams, there is no molar mass. You'll have to go to the periodic table and figure out what it is. And like if the molar mass is 32, you would type that in yourself. So it's kind of like these have more training wheels on them, and then you get fewer training wheels at the bottom, and you just kind of build what's supposed to be here. And then it doesn't tell you where the molar ratio goes. You lose this little green box here. For your later problems. You kind of have to fill those out yourself. But there's only 8 problems here, so just make sure you do each of the steps on each of the problems that you do.